This is the second part of factorising methods used in the junior cycle. So if you haven't watched the first video, I recommend you go back and watch the first video. I will be recapping, I will be making connections with our first video to looking at the last one, which will be factorising quadratic. So before we start, like mostly, we're going to break it down. Factorise means to use factorising methods. And a quadratic. What is a quadratic? You've seen quadratics both in our algebra topic, and we've also visited in sequences, a quadratic sequence. We will see quadratics again next year in quadratic functions, and we'll be looking at where quadratics will be in and around the whole course. So quadratic was in the form ax squared plus bx plus c, okay, where we have a squared element, we have a linear element, bx, there's no square there, and then we have a plus c, which is going to be a number. Okay, so recall before we look at how to factorize something that has an x squared, an x, and a number, like we have down here, we're going to recall factorizing by grouping. So that was the method that had 4 terms, and we took out what was common out of the first 2 brackets, and we took out what was common between the third and the fourth bracket. So we check x squared minus 2x. So that's x squared, as we remember from first year. There's no number in front of it. We assume it's a 1x squared because as mathematicians we like to take shortcuts. And when we take out what's common, so what's common in the first and second bracket is an x. X squared is x times x. So x squared into x is left with x. And minus 2x divided into 1x, the x's will cancel. You're left with x minus 2. Now we look at the third and the fourth term. We don't have a common variable because minus 12 is just a number, so we have to look for a highest common factor. If there wasn't a highest common factor, it will be 1, but in this case we do have the highest common factor of 6. 6 goes into itself and 6 goes into 12, so plus 6. 6 into 6, x goes x times, and minus 12 into 6 is minus 2 times. So we've now got our 2 brackets, and both what's in the brackets is the same. So if you want, you can underline it. I have a habit of my second bracket always being the common bracket. Okay, x minus 2. Then what was remaining? The x and the plus 6, don't forget the plus there, becomes our first bracket. So that was our factorizing by grouping. We will be using that technique to factorize a quadratic, because if we were to look at our first quadratic here, x squared plus 10x plus 18, there is 3 terms, and if we were to use a highest common factor or use a common variable, all 3 terms would have to have either a highest common factor, in which they don't, although the second and third term divide by 2. Okay, the first term doesn't, so we can't factorize like that. We cannot take an x out because the plus 18 doesn't have an x involved. So we need to use what we call the guide number method. Okay, the guide number method was you multiplied what was in front of the x squared by the number at the end. Okay, so your guide number, in this case gn, was 1 times 18, which was just 18. And we needed to find 2 factors of 18 that added to give plus 10. So I would recommend you write out your factors. Actually, we'll change that to, I'll leave that as 18. We'll change it to add to give 9. Okay. You're going to see why in a moment. So we're going to get 2 factors. 1 plus 18 is 19. That will not be the case. 2 goes into 18. 2 times 9. Okay. 3 times 6. Then sure, 18 times 1. We decide that 3 and 6 add to give 9. So we replace our plus 9x becomes x squared plus 3x plus 6x plus 18. So by a little bit of substitution or replacing, okay, we can now factorize, because we have 4 terms, factorize by grouping to get 2 brackets. So I'll just quickly go through x by x plus 3 plus 6 by x plus 3. Our common bracket becomes our second bracket, x plus 3, and then we have our x plus 6. Okay, looks good, looks nice. Few things, what you really have to do is remember how to use the guide number and adding. That was nice. The reason that was nice there was because they're all positives. We had a plus 9x and we had a plus 18. Okay, I'm actually gonna, I had this question as x squared minus 7x minus 30. I'm going to change the quadratic to y squared minus 7y minus 30. Just to show you that it doesn't always have to be x. It could have been a squared minus 7a minus 30. It could have been any letter, any variable we wanted, as long as we had the same variable, the same letter for the squared element and the linear element, the y on its own. So looking here, we have a few things to look at. Main thing that you will see is that we have negative signs. Okay, we've got a negative 30, a negative 7. How will that change things? Change things quite a bit. So first things first, we're going to look at our guide number. Our guide number is what's in front of the y squared, which is 1 multiplied by minus 30. So your guide number has to be minus 30. Okay, so we need 2 numbers that multiply to give minus 30. So from your primary school and first year, you would have known a plus by a minus or a minus by a plus gives a negative. So our 2 factors will have to be 1 plus and 1 negative. Because it's a negative 30, our 2 factors won't have to actually add to give negative 7. They will have to take away to give negative 7. So write down our factors of 30. So 30 times 1, half that, 15 times 2, 10 times 3, 6 times 5, yes, 6 times 5, okay. We've now written out our factors. Now we have to see which 2 would take away to give negative 7. So we have 30 and 1, that's 29, no, 15, that's 13, 10 and 3, okay. So with 10 and 3, it will not be 10 minus 3, because 10 minus 3 does not give minus 7. What does give minus 7 is minus 10 plus 3. So you have to be careful. Okay, so it's minus 10 plus 3 is minus 7. So we rewrite our quadratic so that we have 4 terms. So we have y squared minus 10y plus 3y minus 30. It doesn't matter whether we did that y squared plus 3y minus 10y minus 30 or as we have put it above. But what is important is that the minus is in front of the 10y, the plus is in front of the 3y. So we'll factorize as so. So y into y minus 10, then we have plus 3y minus 10. We just take a little check, both brackets are the same. So we have y plus 3 by y minus 10. And that is how we would factorize a quadratic with negatives involved. Okay, so be careful not just of the numbers, but it's important to be cautious of the symbols as well. And actually, we're going to do one last one. Okay, and it is 2x squared minus 9x plus 4. Why this changes from the previous ones is that we actually have a number in front of the x squared, we're going to have a number 2. So, you might have seen, why did I not just say simply use a guide number of the last number? Okay, I went through the habit of writing 1 multiplied by the last number, because when the number in front of the x squared is not 1, our guide number is not the independent term, the number on its own. Our guide number will in this case, be 2 multiplied by 4. Your guide number is 8. Okay, so we write plus 8. We'll write plus 8 just to get into the habit. So because it's a plus 8, we need to add two factors to give plus 8. So 8 times 1, it will, sorry, the two factors have to add to give, apologies, the middle term. They have to add to give minus 9. So our factors 8 and 1, 4 times 2. So 8 and 1 is 9, excellent. 4 and 2 is 6. So we will be using 8 and 1. But before we do, it won't be plus 8 plus 1, it'll be negative 8, negative 1. Okay? It's negative 9. Those two numbers are like signs. So it's a negative and a negative. They add to give 9, they add to give minus 9. So we replace our 9x, 2x squared minus 8x minus x or 1x, whichever you prefer, plus 4. So we factorize 2x squared minus 8x. In this case, it won't just be an x. We've got a common variable and we've got a highest common factor. So it'll be 2x, open a bracket. 2x into x squared goes x times. 2x into minus 8 goes minus 4 times. Minus x plus 4. What we have here is we need the bracket to be the same as the first one. We need to change the signs. So to change the signs, instead of plus 1, we have negative 1. Okay? If you had plus 1, you would have had a negative plus 1, negative 8 plus 4. You would have seen the two brackets differed by a multiple of minus 1. So you would have had to make this coefficient to a minus. And you have 2x minus 1, x minus 4. Okay? That is the last method of factorizing a quadratic.